IGF edition. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God for all days because it's the Lord's day. And we are very excited to be here again to do this, contributing, our own quota to national development by having very frank and deep conversations about everything that matters in Nigeria. Femi Ojo is my name. I'm a Nigerian, and so it is a passion. It is a responsibility to make sure whatever needs to be talked about, we talk about it, and people take responsibility for whatever they are being assigned to do and committed to do as well. On this program, we'll look at the headline from major dailies and then the issues we bring to you on a platter for you to have a better understanding. And maybe by extension, it might enhance your decision-making process so that we all have a nation that we're proud of, good people, and great nation. Once again, good morning. A fellow Nigerian is there. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, Femi.
Very well. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm great. Fantastic. How do you do?
Very well. How do you do as well?
Very well. Thank God it's Friday, like you said.
Yeah.
It's always Fridays are always happy. I mean, people are always more relaxed on Fridays. Whatever the reason is, why people are always, more happy on Fridays, I don't know. But sometimes, as far as I'm concerned, there's no difference whether it's Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Friday. But again, Friday gives you that feeling, that psychological feeling that you are winding down, after a long week. Just to relax a little bit for the weekend. So that's why we tone it down a little bit on Fridays. But not to say we're not bringing you the best. Rest assured that every day, even on Fridays, we bring you the best of content on this program, Morning Spring, on Western Spring Television. So good morning to you once again and welcome to Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Emeka Daniel is my name. Like I always say, you do not want to miss any segment of this show. So sit back, relax and enjoy as we unfold our package for today.
All right. The Lord to really unfold. A lot is on the burner that is being talked about right now. A gale of defections here and there from opposition parties to the main, to the ruling party at the center, from the NNPP, NNPP losing their party members, officials, elected members, elected public officials. And so, same as the PDP as well, not just individuals, when structures are being moved completely, more like a contingent, a whole team. They just left a particular team to say we are done.
In one fell swoop.
To another team. And, the opposition, PDP chairman yesterday said, okay, if anybody should have moved, shouldn't have been up and worry. That's Mr. Sheriff, but then they will tell you the brand will continue to be, and maybe people might see the light and maybe return home. But then it's about aligning. Now, for me, at the heart of this is the question that if this is truly whatever alignment, whatever realignment they are doing, if it's truly about the people, really, okay, some will say, I have to get the platform that will allow me to get to power, and so that whatever I've been complaining about, I will have the opportunity to really handle, and so that my people will get the best of the dividends of democracy. But in reality, is it really about that? Yesterday, and not just yesterday, I think President Obasanjo has said the democracy we are practicing, even in Africa, is no more working. Many persons came at him to say the same democracy that worked for you from 1999 to 2007, all of a sudden, is no more working. But then we will see, is it what it has always been, or we have turned it to something else? Our guest yesterday tried to define the kind of democracy we are running here in Nigeria. It's just interest-based. Capiche?
Absolutely.
It's just absolutely homegrown for whatever it is. The conventional definition of democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But he said the political party is just the vehicle. Actually, it is the person, the personality that matters. But then we don't have independence candidacy in Nigeria, so you still have to move through a party. Now, it brings in the conversation of ideology. Is this just like you are buying a vehicle? Okay, you are buying a particular brand to take you to a particular place. These brands and this vehicle, political vehicle, supposed to have ideologies. This is what we stand for. But he said whatever we are borrowed from the US, like we have developed ours.
Absolutely. And talking about democracy here, when former leaders speak, I think we shouldn't look at just their person, just their character. Let's look at the message.
Right.
The truth remains, the fact remains that democracy is not working. That's the truth. So coming from anyone, it doesn't really matter. No one has to be a saint to say that, to have the authority to say that. So let's just look at the message. It's not working. What we are practicing here is no longer democracy. All we see
is it because it's not working, or because the players will not want to follow the dictates, the process of that democracy?
Well, I think it's all about
making it to look
interests.
like democracy is the problem. I'm not sure democracy is the problem.
It is not a problem. It is our approach to it. That's it. It's our approach as a people. So people kind of twist it and make it to suit them. So for some people, actually, Femi, for some people, democracy is working in Nigeria. So when it's working in your favor, you say it's working.
So you are getting everything that you need.
Absolutely. You don't expect anyone from the camp of Bola Ahmed Tinubu to come and tell you that democracy is not working. Okay. Democracy is working for Tinubu, for God's sake. It's working for him. So those who are at the other end will tell you it's not working. But generally speaking, without taking any sides, as journalists, we speak to facts. It is clear that democracy is not working in Nigeria as it should be working.
As it should
or we have politicians who are self-serving, who are self-centered, who care about their own interests in their decisions. Just yesterday, I was having a chat with someone who's resident in Delta State who understands, the politics there better. He was telling me, he said, see, all this is all about selfish interest. That the former governor that's talking about the vice presidential candidate in the 2023 election, he actually has some, some issues that he had to convince Sheriff Oboribori. See, if we have to stand, we have to join the PDP. According to him, unconfirmed reports.
The APC.
Yes, that APC rather. That according to him, he said the former governor is having some issues with the EFCC, and the only way to save his neck is to just, join the bandwagon.
In the words of Adams Oshomele, to say, if you join the ruling party, your
sins are forgiven.
Forgiven. And Dele Momodu as well, a PDP chieftain, a publisher, said on a program a few days ago and said, as for Ifeanyi Okowa, that maybe truly he has been harassed of late. But the question is, was he just being harassed? Because sometimes politicians will make due process to look like a problem.
Absolutely.
If actually institutions of the state see a reason to invite you to come and say something about your time in power, does that really mean it is harassment?
I said it here the other day. If they don't have anything against you, you don't have to play ball with them. But unfortunately, when you as a politician, when you have skeletons in your cupboard and they are using it against you, who do you blame? You have yourself to blame. And that's what's happening.
And that gives rise to the question of there are many persons who want to ask the ruling party to say, your war about anti-corruption. So how is it going? When people feel, if you don't want to have a problem, if you don't want to have your next 10 years, you are using it in court, possibly you should just dump, and whatever you think you believe, whatever you think you are doing. The same Okowa that was the first presidential candidate to Atiku, and I knew what many of them said about the ruling APC when they were campaigning to move into, to get into power, of which Nigerians said no. All of a sudden, you are finding his solace. But then they will tell you it's about interest. Some will say, oh, whatever we said at that time, it's just politics.
And some people will still follow him, still trust him. When someone has questionable character, when someone cannot stand, it is clear. Their motives, and people will still follow them and still, singing their praise.
I'm not sure the word character is the word to use here, as far as Nigerian brand of politics is concerned.
Oh, so Nigerians don't care about the character of leaders.
Do they?
Quite unfortunate. Quite unfortunate.
We'll go on this quick break. We'll make a return. Stay with us. Let me punch it from the punch this morning. NEC postpones state police talks despite surge in killings. NEC postpones state police talks despite surge in killings. You have a rider to that story, headline rather. NGF raises panel to tackle killings, proposes massive security personnel recruitment. NGF raises panel to tackle killings and proposes massive security personnel recruitment. You know, a quick one from this part, Daniel, will tell you that a few days ago, I think the IGP again raised, and is becoming a cliche, very, very, you know, to just say the least, very unnecessary cliche, because it's actually not just unnecessary, it's useless. But I say, and I'm using my word carefully, the IG again has said, oh, security details or police personnel, mobile policemen should be withdrawn from VIPs. And I can't remember how many police IG that have said that in the last, how many years now? Every now and then.
They keep saying the same thing.
What is the problem? These mobile policemen, do they attach themselves? They just take themselves from their homes and go and attach to them. Sometimes we even learn some of these VIP postings are people, some of the personnel even do whatever they have to do to get it.
Actually.
And these are some of the issues, you know.
And someone approved their posting.
A particular celebrity wedding happened at the weekend, actually, you know, and it's not about the wedding, it's about the event. You need to see how many policemen, mobile policemen were there. Before that, a particular one happened, a birthday of a celebrity as well, a businessman happened, and you need to see how many policemen were there running after Hilux and Jeeps. And you know, when these private individuals, when they want to come out of their cars, you see the policemen run, open the door. Is it part of your work to be
for their daily bread?
These are some of the issues, and you know, you saw a particular viral video in which some Chinese guys were handing over notes.
Cash,
you know, they lined up and then they were giving them money, and then you see them 5,000 naira. They bear say ha, because it's a Chinese man. And these same guys these same Nigerian guys, although some of them have been apprehended, the policemen, they will flog their fellow Nigerians because of that Chinese individual.
Absolutely. And it's quite laughable, Femi.
Come on.
It's not even just about celebrities here, Femi. I saw a particular one, Yahoo Boy bragging that, forget about policemen, that he has policemen washing his car in the morning. So that's what he can do. That's he has policemen around him that if he wants his car washed, and he actually said he prefers a policeman, a Nigerian policeman, washing his car.
Because he will have it.
Just to make them feel that way, that he's superior to them.
Yeah, that is the issue. So these events it's not just about those events, but because these big boys and big girls were there, and you could see many of them working with 4, and they're armed. And we are talking about Plateau being left open, Benue being left open, Borno being left open. Some of them are in the big cities following the guys, and then the IGP will say, oh, we have ordered that they will be returned to the barracks. Next year, if another IG comes, you still hear the same story. Why are you people serious?
I dare say the IG is not serious about it. He's not serious. You are the Inspector General.
It's about this particular one.
He's not.
Who is he telling? That's the question. Who is he telling? He's telling Nigerians that the mobile policemen should be returned. In fact, you don't even have to say it.
Absolutely.
If you really want to do it, you know the people you talk to and you say, give me the list of those guys at the barrack, give me the list of those ones that are outside, and the next 1 month, I want everything to be regularized and returned, except it is critically needed. Absolutely. My men should not be carrying handbags, carrying umbrella, opening doors for celebrity. And you know, a particular celebrity came from Tanzania and was doling out $100. I understand. People will say, oh, that's like 160K. How much is the salary of that policeman? And you see a lot of them doing like this. Hand over another bill, they do like this. I don't have a problem with somebody, you know, being magnanimous and be generous to a uniformed man, but it's the way it is done. Absolutely. Especially that Chinese video, doling out cash, and they were, you know, my mind just went, in this particular place, if any Nigerian will come in to come and do something, these mobile policemen will descend on their fellow countrymen just because they want to protect a foreign national.
And again, I think it's all about their training.
Would the Chinese police do like that when you're in their foreign land to your own people?
Unfortunately, no.
And beat up their fellow countrymen because of you?
It doesn't make any sense. I think it's all about their perception, their training, their values as a people. Because sometimes you see them harassing innocent citizens. There was a day, there was a police stop on the road, an illegal one, extorting money from, you know, road users, from drivers. And I just stepped down. They caused an unnecessary traffic there. I stepped down. I walked up to the policeman. What's happening here? I'm a journalist. Why are you here? He said, sorry, that they're just doing some stop and search and all that. Because of the fact that I stepped down, he couldn't collect money from the cars in front of me again. Well, then when he got to my turn, he said, no, just pass. I said, no, you said you are doing stop and search. Go to the trunk and search. That's your job, if that's truly what you're doing. So I think it's all about your training here.
We should just get serious. And this is a challenge. And I think he knows. Tolumi Wadid will be the first PRO to the IGP himself. Dr. Egbeto, we should do better. This every time and then, every now and then saying, mobile policemen, forcemen, please return to the barracks. We are withdrawing them. Who are you? They don't need to tell us.
Absolutely.
There's something that an internal memo can fix. And then we will see results. If celebrities need, security detail, there are private firms that they could. And if it's you are not a public official, and then you are having, you see 4 or 5, and some of them are fully armed to the teeth.
The impression is that the IGP is not in control of his men. That's just impression.
We should just do better, because there is such in killings, and those guys that should be protecting us should not be running around Abuja and Lagos and Port Harcourt following, the celebrities and the big boys are there. Let's do better. And below that, you have the picture of the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu speaking at the Harvard Business School, Massachusetts, in the U.S. Of course, you can see others keenly looking at him, young people for that matter. And I don't know if these young guys that are there actually recognize that this is a state governor in Nigeria.
A mega state.
I'm telling you, the 5th or the 6th economy in Africa, for that matter. Now, EFCC gets order to arrest 6 CBEX promoters. Please go ahead. 13 governors fund rural electrification in 925 villages. All right. Obi versus Abure. INEC studies Supreme Court judgment. Cybercrime. Chinese suspect forfeit 73 houses, 1,596 laptops. An emergency. IBAS meets reps panel today as protests continue. There have been protests against the administration of Admiral Ibas there, retired, and many persons are saying, please leave. We don't want you. And Atiku Saraki spearhead PDP resurgence amid key defections. We wish them all the best. That'll be all from the Punch.
From the front page of the Punch newspaper, we move straight to the Daily Trust newspaper. Let's check out some of the stories on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Tinubu's aides, Atiku's coalition bicker over defections. Tinubu's aides, Atiku's coalition bicker over defections. Quite interesting. Tinubu's aides are saying for the APC that it's a done deal for them. But I'd like to say not yet to Uhuru. Do not celebrate yet. The PDP, the opposition parties, will tell you that it is too early to start celebrating. And that's talking about the APC side of the divide now, talking about Tinubu's aides, who believe it's a done deal for them already come 2027. Away from that, moving to the top strip, more Nigerians to become poor in 2027. More Nigerians to become poor in 2027. That's according to the World Bank. They're having their spring meetings in Washington, D.C., talking about the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, and they've released a report, the Africa's Pulse report, which shows that Nigerians will actually get poorer. They say poverty will increase by 3.6% percentage points over the next 5 years through 2027. So we should expect Nigerians to get poorer. And they gave their reasons. I mean, they cited resource dependence and, of course, national fragility as the key reasons for some countries, especially oil-rich countries, to become poorer, despite the activities in the non-oil sector. And again, Nigerians who are already suffering, I mean, the hardship is biting hard, but you need to brace yourself. According to the World Bank, you have more to come. Quite unfortunate right there. Away from that, moving on to other stories. NEC defers deliberation on state police amidst worsening insecurity. National Economic Committee defers deliberation on state police amidst worsening insecurity. You heard that before now. It was touted that at the NEC meeting, just held that they would actually discuss state police, but all of a sudden they took it off the front burner. The question again is why? We are having rising insecurity across the states. Why are you not considering state police at this time? What exactly are you waiting for? That's a big question for the National Economic Committee. Away from that, moving on to other stories on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Striking FCT workers besiege minister's office. Wike blasts council's chairs. Striking Federal Capital Territory workers besiege minister's office. Wike blasts council's chairs. You'll find a story on page 29 of the Daily Trust. And just below that, at the center of the page, we have statistics talking about malaria. Funding freeze, high treatment costs, heighten Nigeria's malaria burden. Funding freeze, high treatment costs heighten Nigeria's malaria burden. And you can see all the statistics right there. What families spend on treating malaria on average. You see, for individuals, you have 10,000 naira for a single member of the family. Then you have about 50,000 naira if they go to health facilities. And they said the price is still, way higher. If the malaria is severe and the person has to be hospitalized for a couple of days, that's talking about the burden of malaria in our society. Below that, you can see a pie chart right there showing that 70%, over 70% of payments for healthcare services in Nigeria is as a result of malaria. Out of pocket payments, out of pocket expenditure, over 70%. Then you begin to ask yourself, what's going on with the HMOs, with the health management organizations? How many Nigerians have access to healthcare insurance? That's just the real picture being painted right there. And away from that, you also see another pie chart showing that 90% of the population in Nigeria is estimated to be at risk of malaria. 90% of the population at risk of malaria. Quite unfortunate. Then below that, we have another one. You can see the bar chart right there showing that 27% malaria burden, and of course, 31% malaria death in Nigeria. Talking about Nigeria's contribution to the world on malaria cases, and very worrisome. Below that, let's look at the global occurrence in Nigeria. 1 out of every 4 persons suffers from malaria in Nigeria. 1 out of 4. That's 25%. 25% suffer malaria. Then below that, we have 1 out of 3 deaths from malaria. 1 out of 3 deaths from malaria. Then we have 22 persons die every hour. 22 persons die every hour from malaria. That's quite disturbing, quite worrisome. Then again, we have children are the most affected. That's according to the Nigeria Demographic and Health Survey, NDHS, stating that in 2022, over 180,000 Nigerian children under the age of 5 lost their lives to malaria. Over 180,000 children under the age of 5. You can see how serious the burden of malaria is. And of course, we have it here, $1.1 billion. The amount lost to Nigeria's GDP from malaria. Over $1.1 billion lost. The question here is, whatever happened to malaria vaccine? Whatever happened to malaria vaccine? It is preventable. If we have the vaccine, then we'll be talking about prevention here and not the treatment. Then, of course, finally, we have over 60 million cases of malaria occur annually in Nigeria. And that's according to the World Health Organization. Over 60 million cases. I mean, and it goes on and on and on. And that's just the statistics for the burden of malaria in Nigeria. Quite unfortunate. And that'll be all from the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
The Daily Trust will move to The Guardian. How market realities expose weak business models, growth illusion, unicorn graveyards. How market realities expose weak business models and growth illusion. You have the data there, startup development and funding cycle. And All right. Friends, family, angels. Trusted. From $10 to $60K or $50K. That's $50,000. 12 to 18 months. And you can see the depiction of a snail. The idea is there, but then the product market fit traction, and the reality is more like a snail moving very slowly, even in the opposite direction. All right. And the seed, $200 to $500,000 in 18 to 24 months. And that one we have to do with structure, strategy, process, team culture, governance, winning mentality. At the base of it all is a valley of death. And of course, the series A and B, you need a detail of that about how unicorn become graveyards. Pick up a copy of the Guardian. And just above that, more PDP governors will defect. Ganduje vows as the Damagum Saraki, others downplay crises. More PDP governors will defect. Ganduje vows as Damagum Saraki, others downplay crises. Really? All right. And World Bank, Nigeria needs a better fiscal contract with citizens to reduce poverty. World Bank, Nigeria needs a better fiscal contract with citizens to reduce poverty. All right. And again, NEC defers deliberation on state police, insist on modern ranching. All right. The conversation about the state police and even local police was on the border just a few weeks, months ago. Now it has been deferred, and they have insisted, as the NEC pretended yesterday by Vice President Kashim Shettima, insisting on modern ranching. All right, how would that work? Now, Northeast Stabilization Plan may gulp over 128 trillion naira as agency begins a review. Northeast Stabilization Plan may gulp over 128 trillion naira as agency begins review. And 54.3% of Lagos students failed WASC in 2024. 54.3%, more than half of those who sat failed it.
That's
and
worrisome.
possibly by YA calculation, those are the guys that couldn't score, pass the five
credits.
that couldn't have 5 credits. 54.3.
That's worrisome.
It is actually was responsible for that, and this is from the government as well. All right. Below that, you have the picture of the governor still right there at Harvard Business School. I'm talking about Governor Sanwo-Olu. He was a guest in Professor Hakeem Bello Osage's course, which is Understanding Africa, Business, Entrepreneurship, Political Economy, and the Complexities of a Continent. There's a guest lecturer, Sanwo-Olu, like this. Really, how many? And it's one of what they can do. Sometimes possibly university is just having possibly a week. You can call them possibly a particular governor or president or vice president or speaker or parliamentarian is an alumni of a particular school. There's nothing stopping the school from calling him to possibly just take them through a knowledge class. I'm not talking about donation. So most of the time when you see your alumni come back, is rolling out of red carpet, which is okay, donation, all of these things. But coming back to the class, pick up a, what's it called, marker, or, pick up a course outline and teach
And give a
people.
meaningful lecture.
Meaningful lecture. Not just tell us why APC is better than PDP and Labour is better than APC and all of those things. Setback looms in 11 states as the U.S. halts $73 million yearly anti-malaria aid. I think as a serious nation, we should be finding our way around these particular issues. It's no more new. In fact, anything that's coming from the US right now, even when Mr. Donald Trump has not talked about it, and it has an impact on your nation, you should be focusing so that by the time the guy comes in with the big stick, your people will not be affected. And I think that's the proper way to run a nation. Ibas shuns reps invitation, attends NEC meeting. There were other papers are reporting that it will be there today. And that will be all from The Guardian.
Okay, from the front page of The Guardian, we move straight to the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. 2027 won't be decided by number of governors. That's according to the PDP. 2027 won't be decided by number of governors. That's attributed to the PDP. Of course, the PDP are trying to console themselves after suffering a massive loss, massive defection. Entire structure of the PDP in Delta State defecting to the APC. But the PDP is saying, never mind, we will re-strategize. Let's look at some of the riders under that story. Damagun shrugs off Delta mass defection, says Obi garnered millions of votes without a state governor. And he's actually right on that one. Another one, no cause for alarm. We will reposition party. That's according to Saraki. Presidency mocks Atiku, says political future now bleak. Of course, Bayo Onanuga released a statement yesterday mocking, the opposition, saying that there is nothing for them anymore. But let's see how that goes. Ikemi berates APC slide to personal interests. Forum won't surrender to plot of one party. That's according to the coalition. Moving to the top strip of the Nigerian Tribune now. Alleged $1 billion fraud. Court permits EFCC to detain 6 over CBEX. Alleged $1 billion fraud. Court permits EFCC to detain 6 over CBEX. Away from that, military killed 1,770 terrorists, arrested 3,073 in 3 years across Northwest states. That's according to the Chief of Defense Staff. LP crisis. Again, Abure calls out Obi for misinterpreting Supreme Court's judgment. Away from that, moving on to other stories, still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. Again, IBAS absent at Reps panel. Again, IBAS absent at Reps panel. What exactly is happening? They actually scheduled a meeting with Vice Admiral IBAS to appear before the Rep panel. The 21-man committee set up to carry out oversight function on rivers. And that meeting, the first one, was supposed to be held on the 15th of April. We understand that according from the request of IBAS, they actually requested that they postpone that meeting. It was postponed to 24th April. Which was yesterday, Thursday. But IBAS actually attended NEC meeting, but did not show up for that meeting. Members of that committee were seen coming out of the room, and they refused to. They just said no comment. They wouldn't talk to journalists. But some others are reporting that IBAS would actually attend the meeting today. So let's see how that plays out. Or is it taking the panel for granted? That wouldn't be new in Nigeria.
It wouldn't be new.
Absolutely. Away from that, moving on to other stories, still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Gunmen abduct 14 passengers in Benue. Gunmen abduct 14 passengers in Benue. Q1 2025, UBA profit rises by 30.65% to 204 billion naira. First quarter 2025, UBA profit rises by 30.65% to 204 billion naira. Quite interesting. And you see the picture of Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, right there at the Harvard, giving a speech right there. Away from that, despite worsening insecurity, National Economic Council again defers talks on state police. Despite worsening insecurity, NEC defers talks on state policing. With riders, council approves $90 billion agric business, livestock development, and for agric business and livestock development. With another rider, River Soul administrator attend council meeting. Of course, he attended for the first time ever since he was appointed as River Soul administrator. And finally, from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, Lagos is investors' delight. That's according to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. And that'll be all from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. And that brings us to a conclusion of the newspaper review segment of the program this morning. We'll take a short break, and when we return, the program continues. Please stay with us.